Zoals het hoort, hè, echt Vlaams of Belgisch of eigenlijk best wel internationaal. Welkom voor de leukste slechterik van de afgelopen maanden op televisie. T-Bag himself, dames en heren, Robert Knepper!
Show that's from. What's up? It's great to be here, guys. I love Belgium. Oh, so now, wait a minute, am I in Holland? No, I'm in Belgium.
That's actually a rather dangerous thing to say.
Oh, good thing I didn't say France.
So before I go walking around the audience collecting questions for you, would you mind telling us how you got first in contact with the character T-Bag and how you felt about getting cast for it? How it came about to being the...
Sure. Okay, today I'm going to make my answers shorter because yesterday I made long answers and all of a sudden you're like, we gotta go. I'll tell you that right before, this is a long answer, sorry. Right before I played Teddy, I was married at the time to the mother of my child, and I've been doing some really great projects. I'd worked with Bruce Willis on Hostage. I had done a part in Good Night and Good Luck with George Clooney, and I did an HBO show called Carnival. All of which were very fun, great projects, but didn't pay very much money. And my then wife said, honey, we gotta get some more money in here. Either you have to get a job, acting job, or another kind of job, or I have to get a job. And our son was not even a year and a half old, I think at that time. Ben was, yeah, I think he was about a year and a half. So I thought, I said, honey, please let me try to figure this out. And I thought, what can I do? And I put up signs that I could teach acting, and because I thought, I gotta do something I love. When I first started acting in Chicago after Northwestern University, I waited tables. And I can't go back to waiting tables. I just can't do that after 20-some years of being an actor. So I thought, I've gotta do something I love. And so I thought, I love acting, and I love nature. So I thought, I'll teach. So I put up all these signs to all the different unions saying, you study with the rest, now study with the best. You know, I've done it, you should study with somebody who's, well, there were 10 other signs also up there that said the same thing. So I also thought, I love nature because I grew up on farms, and I drove up to the Will Rogers Park in LA, and I put in an application to be a park ranger. And I thought I could be a ranger. I love this park. It's been an inspiration to me for years. I could scrub toilets. I don't care. My father's a veterinarian. I could clean dog cages when I was cleaning up. I can do it again. And the very next day, I had an audition for this guy named T-Bag in Prison Break. And the part was originally written to be for a 250-pound guy with a gold tooth. And I said, I don't know why I'm going in on this, but I'll do my best. And I kept thinking, why am I going in on this part? I'm a dad. I have a little baby. I don't want to play a pedophile. I can't do this. And then I thought, I need this job. I really need this job. And I thought, I want to play it opposite than it seems to be written on paper. And I wanted to play him charming. And that's the word that kept coming to me, is just be charming. And the funny thing is, I needed the part, I got the part, and I called up, I'd gotten a job teaching at UCLA Extension, they called it, for adults. And I called them up and I said, guys, I don't know if the show is going to be a big hit. A lot of shows aren't. I was supposed to start teaching in January, and I started shooting in July. And I said, if it doesn't work out, I'll call you again, but don't put my name. Never heard from Will Rogers Park until November. And in November, they called and said, Robert Knepper, we have a job for you as a park ranger. if you'd like it at the Will Rogers Park. But we don't think you're going to need it because Prison Break was a huge, phenomenal hit, and so I didn't have to be a park ranger. But I ended that conversation with Will Rogers Park by saying, if you ever need me to help with fundraising for your park, let me know, because I love nature and I grew up on farms and I love Will Rogers. And now, instead of being a park ranger there, I help them raise money. So you never know. So that's why on some of your pictures I write, follow your dreams, because you never know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. It may be happen, but at least you do everything you can to go for it. That's that short story.
Who wants to open the debates? If you have a question, just raise your hand and I'll come run with the microphone. Oh, look how timid they are.
Come on. I have somebody have a question.
We'll come on over here.
Hi. I was wondering, what was the best and worst part of shooting Prison Break?
I went to school at Northwestern, which is just north of Chicago. The first season was in Chicago, and I knew very well how cold the winters were in Chicago, but I'd never worn a T-shirt in the winter in Chicago, and that was probably the hardest thing to get used to. It was very hard. We'd have these huge wide, call them wide masters, you know, the big shots of all of us, say, on the outside, trying to figure out how we're going to escape. And when we shoot the wide master, it was beautiful weather, and when we get to the close-up, sometimes it'd be a blizzard. So you couldn't ever. The continuity was a hard thing about it. One of my favorite moments was one thing I'd forgotten about Chicago is it's besides being very cold, it's also very hot in the summertime, and I'd forgotten that. And there were days that we would just all day long, no matter whether you're wearing a T-shirt or not, it's freaking hot. And one night, I remember it was a Friday night. It was the end of the week, and Wentworth and I. It's that typical thing where you work all day, whatever job you have, you work all day out in the heat. It's just, you're exhausted from the heat. And we leaned up. I used to smoke cigarettes. Thank God I gave that nasty habit up. But I remember everybody smoked back then, by the way. All the guys smoked. And by the time we got to the third season of Prison Break, no one smoked cigarettes anymore. But Wentworth and I leaned up against that beautiful wall. The prison was an amazing wall. We treated it like a castle. And we leaned up against the wall, and we were having a cigarette at about midnight, and it finally cooled down. And I remember looking to him, and he looked at me, and we just went, this is pretty good. Because the show, we knew, was doing very well, and it was like there was something in those days about having a cigarette that you go, yeah. Now we don't need it. Who's next?
Are you still in contact with the cast from Prison Break?
Yes, especially Mauri. He's a good buddy of mine from Puerto Rico. I still kid him about the geographical semantics, the fact that he's from Puerto Rico, not Mexico. Bill Fichtner and I did a picture last year called SEAL Team 6. People always ask me, how come you play so many bad guys? When are you going to play a good guy? Well, that was a good guy. You should watch that one. I played the commander of the special team that went in and got Osama bin Laden. It was the cheaper version of the two stories that year, but it was a very good one. Good night.
Hi. How did you get the parts in Arrow?
Arrow, I was offered the part. I was just offered. And my wife said to me, you should really check this out because this character is a famous kind of DC Comics character. I never knew that character. Thank God I did because I don't know, Talkman, Clock King, whatever. The cool thing about that, I don't know if you're aware of it, but they're bringing that, I just shot it, they brought that character back, and he's the first one that's switched over from Arrow to Flash. So I just shot it, I think it's the 6th episode, something like that, so it should be on in a few weeks. And he's out there, he's a crazy character. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. What was your favorite season to shoot from Prison Break?
I think T-Bag's best season is the season 2, because there's a lot of stuff about his childhood. Season 1, I think, is the best writing for all of us, but season 2, character-wise, for me, was pretty darn good, I have to say. Yeah.
A lot of actors get associated with one specific character they play, but how does it feel to be like associated with a pedophile your whole life?
You know, it's funny because the writers wrote such amazing things for me and for the character that if we had one season of that show, I would say that's how people would associate me. But I don't think most people would say, "Oh, I'm T-Bag pedophile." They would just say, "T-Bag, what a interesting monster." He wasn't just a pedophile. In fact, Fox didn't really. I think Fox got a little scared of that, and they didn't really push that too much. Because in the first scene, oh, you don't want to sit there. That's T-Bag. Oh, T-Bag. What's that mean? Oh, he raped and killed 13 underage children. I mean, they say boom right away, but then they never really talked about that again. And I think they sort of landed it and let it go, but not too much. I had a great acting teacher in New York, Bill Esper, and he always said, if you're going to play a part, play a great part. And I try to make every part as memorable as T-Bag. The difference between T-Bag and some of the other parts is that, one, it lasted for 4 years. I was in your face every week. Now you can binge watch us and you can see us in a weekend if you want the whole show. You stay up all night for 3 nights, but you can do it. But the quantity of the role is there in your face, and so it's going to be more memorable, I think. But I hope that people always say, "What's your favorite part that you played? What's your favorite movie or TV show?" And I say, the next one, because there's always more. I love acting, and I don't want to ever give up.
Hi Robert, have you ever got the chance to talk to family members of people who really were in prison?
I didn't get the first part, sorry.
You were in Prison Break, and did you ever got the chance to talk to family members or real prisoners for the preparation of the show?
Okay, I don't think he'll mind that I'm telling this story. I have a distant cousin that was one of my favorite cousins growing up, and he suddenly disappeared when I was in my 30s, and he got busted in Texas, I think, for dealing drugs or something. The only person in my family that this happened to. And I never, I had this quick audition process for Teddy, for T-Bag, and I called him up on a Friday night and I said, "Okay, so here's my question for you." He was in Vietnam. I said, the 2 things I've realized about people as I've gotten older is, one is you never ask them about Vietnam, and you don't ask them about prison. And I said, I haven't talked about Vietnam, but I just got this part of this guy who's in prison. And I was talking about the first episode. Does this happen? Do race riots happen? I was so naive. I never even got into a fight when I was a kid. I was a goody two-shoes, they call them. And so I said, does this happen? Do I pick fights? Did they do that in prison? Do people hold my pocket? Does that really exist? He said, yeah. Oh, well, now they hold on to the belt loop. They don't really hold on to the pocket so much. And then at the end of the conversation, he said, and I told him my character's name, T-Bag. And at the end of the conversation, he said, you know how you got the name T-Bag, right? And I said, no, tell me, I don't know what that means. And then he explained it to me. I went, oh. Yeah.
When I watched Prison Break, I really disliked you. Sorry.
Okay, most people did.
Not really you. You're probably a very nice guy, but
yeah.
every movie after, I put you in context with a teabag, I was just like, oh, that's the bad guy. How do you prepare for a role like teabag? Because it's, yeah, like violent.
I grew up, like I said, I grew up kind of a goody two-shoes. I was a good boy. I had parents that were very strict. But because my dad's a veterinarian, and because I'm an actor, I thought of teabag as somebody who was like a dog. My dog, I had two, well, I did, one of my dogs just died. I have one dog left. And the dog's living, loves to sniff dogs' butts. He just goes up to every dog and just, dogs just like do that. They don't have a sensor, they don't have a valve that shuts them on. Others go, and I just thought that's teabag. I thought he's that kind of sociopathic guy who says, hey baby, hey, and he doesn't have any qualms at all about saying, maybe I shouldn't say it like that, Maybe I shouldn't just go up and go, hug somebody like that. And I thought, I just got to get in touch with what it's like to be an animal. And I think that is something that we all have in common, that we are, we always think of ourselves as different or better than other animals. And the fact is, we are animals. We usually have parents who say, don't do that. and because we grow up being, for the most part, good boys and good girls, we know you shouldn't hurt people, you shouldn't rape people, you shouldn't kill people. But some people are damaged, some people have been hurt. And besides studying animals, which was easy for me because of my dad, I also, really the only research I did was imagine what it would be like if something terrible had happened to me as a child. Because usually pedophiles are people that have been damaged by pedophiles. And it's a universal feeling that a lot of people have come out and said, my uncle did this to me, my father did this to me, a friend did this to me. And that's something that I think it's also kind of the universal connection to that character, that no, we didn't go on to kill people, but people that have been abused by other people know that there's something in there. And with one little twist, you could have become that kind of person as well. So I've always been fascinated, and now because of playing teabag, and because now they say, well, let's just get Knepper, he'll play this, these crazy people that are demented or whatever. I love playing them. I don't mind playing them. I also love being able to go to bed at night going, I'm the good guy. I like playing the dad, which I've been able to do now because Prison Break made me, quote unquote, famous. But I love the sense of, if you take a photograph, I remember as a kid, maybe you do the same thing here, I don't know, at Easter time, we grew up sort of religious, not Catholic or anything, but we went to church. And at Easter, the little girls have a little bonnet, and the little boys have a little tie and a little suit coat. And, you go to church. And when we were kids, my sister and I had these pictures every year of us in our Sunday suit, standing outside this great log cabin that we have down in the country. And I had no teeth. Like a typical kid, my teeth, fell out, and I had a shaved head. And I imagined, that was a very nice picture of my sister and me. But I thought, what if the character was teabag? And I thought, the closer you got to the picture, like if you're on what we call a dollying track, if the camera was coming closer and closer into my eyes as a little boy, as teabag, and something had happened to him like what his father did to him, imagine, because that's the secret to acting the way I do it, is you imagine the horror that would be in his eyes. Sometimes when you look at a photograph, if it's lit really well, as you get close, if you look really, really close at the eyeball, you can actually see the umbrella of that light when they go, when they're taking the picture, you can actually almost see the room that the photographer was in. And if you get closer and closer to my eyes as Teabag, he's got this little grin, like I had as a boy, going like that. But his eyes are so scared. As you get closer to him, you can look into his eyeballs and go, oh my God, I just saw what he saw as a child, which was, you know, this man who was like, you gotta learn words, you gotta learn the dictionary, you gotta do all this stuff with life. But at the same time, he was messing with his kid. And I thought, if I could capture that, then I've got Teabag. And I did. Yeah.
Hi, Robert.
Hey.
First, I gotta say, I think Teabag is the best villain I've seen in a TV show, hands down.
Thank you.
If you could be on any TV show or movie, which one would it be?
It would definitely, right now, it'd be a comedy. Because I played enough heavy stuff. I'd like to do comedy. I'd love to do, oh boy. I'd love to do The Office. I'd love to do Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'd love to do Julia Louis-Dreyfus' show. I got to do a lot of funny stuff as Teabag. I always had the funniest lines, albeit that they were dark. But I love comedy, and it's hard. It's really hard to consistently be funny. But yeah, that would be the one. That would be the spot.
Hello. How did you get the role of Samuel?
Samuel. So Heroes came up right after Prison Break, and I learned a long time ago, when you're on a roll as an actor, you should stay with. He was like, take a break. You know, like, no, I want to keep working, because someday soon, maybe somebody's going to say, Robert who? So my agents called me up and said, you have a meeting, you have an offer for this part on the 4th season of Heroes. They're adding a character. And my manager called me and said, no, you don't have the offer, you have a meeting. They like you a lot, and they know you could mean something to the show because they haven't come off of Prison Break. But you still have to go in and meet the producer. And there's another actor. He was an Irish-American actor. And meaning he lived in New York. So I'm driving to Universal, and I'm thinking, I really want this part. I mean, I had a few pages of the sides for the script. It was the funeral scene at the beginning. And I didn't know really what I was going to do with the part yet. But I started thinking about the fact that this other guy was Irish-American, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. What if I played him sort of Irish? Plus, I want the part. I don't want the Irish-American guy to have the part. So I thought, and then I saw a guy coming out to his car as I got through the gate, and I thought, I bet that's the Irish-American actor that's playing the part. It turned out that it wasn't, but he looked Irish, and I thought, that kind of makes sense, you know, to do it like that kind of thing, you know? And I thought, I don't really want to make him Irish, because I can't really do Irish. We used to have this soap in America called Irish Spring, right? And I like it too. So anybody who tries to do a fake Irish accent, I like it, ooh, Lucky Charms, you know? And so I thought, I don't know. But I got in the room, and I couldn't stop doing the Irish thing. And then I thought, I don't want him to really be Irish. I want him to be like a character, like you don't quite know where he's from. Maybe he's from Northern England, so I kind of did like this, you know, sometimes, and like that. And that was all over the place. And the funny thing about it is that the guy, about 3 or 4 episodes into it, they introduced a character of a guy who played Samuel's brother. The one that Samuel kills, accidentally throws the rock and it goes through his throat and it kills the poor guy. That's the guy who was the Irish-American actor. And he came up to me while we were shooting and he says, I just want to tell you, your Irish accent is spot on. And you're a better Samuel than I would have been, and I'm happy to play your brother. It was funny how it worked out that way. Yeah.
Hi, Robert.
Hey.
had one escape, one last escape, I think.
In my life, or are you talking about a part?
You had one last escape in the series Breakout Kings. How did you like playing that role? Or,
Yeah, Breakout Kings was, for those who don't know, it's the same. Nick Santora and Matt Olmstead, who were some of my favorite writers, and line producer Matt Olmstead on Prison Break, created a show called Breakout Kings, which I think the one-liner would be people who've broken out of prison who are now trying to get people who have broken out of prison, and they're like cops, and they have a special knack for knowing how people break out and the mentality. And T-Bag was a character that Nick called me up and said, we're thinking about adding you to this show. We're going to take this character and put him on a completely different show. How do you feel about it? And I said, I don't know. I said, okay, I'll do it, but you cannot kill T-Bag. I don't want to die. Because I don't want to play him the rest of my life, but I just want him to live. Because it changed my life. Everything in my life by playing them, all of our lives by being on that show. And it was a blast. And Nick Santora wrote some of the best lines for T-Bag that I ever had in the whole 4 years, so I was very, very happy to have done a part of it.
Do you know if you have ever given inspiration to prisoners to break out or outsmart or something?
You know, we heard that there were prisons in the U.S. that would not allow the prison to watch Prison Break for that very reason. I never got a letter saying, I made it! Although, I did get a sweet letter once, a very long letter from somebody, just typed, I believe. It was 6 pages. And at the last page was a photograph, which I didn't really look at. And it was about a man. He lived in New York, and he had this girl that he met in New York. And he wrote me this whole history of how they met. And they met because they met online, I think, or something like that, a dating service. It turns out they were both huge fans of Prison Break. And about 6 months, 9 months, maybe a year, I don't know, into their relationship, as he writes me, he says, so I called her up and I said to her, what are you doing this weekend? And she said, nothing. He said, I want to surprise you with something. And he got the tickets from New York to Chicago. She said, okay, right, we're going to Chicago, fine. They get a car, they rented a limousine or something. He doesn't tell her what's going on. They're huge fans of Prison Break. He drove her out to Joliet Prison, and he proposed to her at the gates of the prison, and sent me a picture. It influenced a lot of people, I know.
Mr. Knepper, if you could choose one actor or actors to work with whom you haven't worked with already.
Oh my God, there's so many. Anthony Hopkins, Kate Blanchett, Meryl Streep. God. Yeah, those are the top. I love Chameleon.